Okay, does anybody have any comments or anything?
Well, except for the two of us that went to the bank and didn't get anywhere, there weren't any other comments. I asked about the estoppel, whether they were working on that.
Well, yeah, the estoppel by deed. Don't try and make it, simplify it down, okay, just to where you come in and you claim that your county birthing record, okay, and that you're just putting an estoppel against any and all other claims that are out there against it, utilizing it by means of the Social Security or any other state-issued item.
Okay, but not bothering to list them all?
No, you don't need to list them all, okay?
Thank you.
You just simplify it down. Basically, you come in, place an estoppel by deed over that, then a banker's lien on that. You can reference your banker's EIN number and in the process, and your estate EIN also. And that will be a notation that will be put in against that birthing record at the county level.
Patrick, and a few calls ago, you said you might have to put a title page on that or a title sheet, something like that, your cover page?
Yes, a cover page or whatever. And you should check with your county recorder to find out exactly what they want and in what format they want it in.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody have any problem with that?
No.
Any questions, any comments on it? This is supposed to be a working call, not just a Patrick Devine call, okay?
Okay. Patrick, regarding the Foreign Grantors Trust, I was doing it online, but I remember you said you had a 98 series. Does it matter if it's going to be a 98 series or?
Doesn't matter any difference, whatever they give to you, okay?
Okay.
Just as long as you get an EIN and they basically call it that, then you've got it, okay?
Yeah. On the confirmation letter, it should say Foreign Grantors Trust.
Yeah, something along that lines, FG Trust or something like that.
Okay.
And then you're the trustee over it, okay?
Yeah.
You're all name, capital name person. Okay. Here's the deal. This scenario is 2,000 years old, okay?
Hmm.
The three wise men, okay? You have to have your three wise men also. The three wise men brought frankincense, myrrh, and gold. You have frankincense, myrrh, and gold also. Your foreign grantor trust, basically, how did that come about? You granted them access by a letter of credit to your assets. Okay, so that's a letter of credit. They're using that as a trade acceptance. 1916, okay? I've had documents out there. You can go up and type into the trade acceptance into the statutes at large for 1916 if you want to find it. But I know I posted it up there. We've also had a document about trade acceptances. Paul Warburg talked about it. Also, there's a article that he had out there. Okay? This is how the Federal Reserve operates, is by trade acceptances. For these letters of credit that we have given to these different outfits in the form of a driver's license, a mortgage, a certificate of title, whatever. They're holding those securities, those letters of credit items at the Federal Reserve Bank in the book entry securities. Now, that is basically your wise man that basically is dealing in frankincense. Okay? Your foreign grantor trust person. Now, the estate person is your myrrh, wise man. And basically, he has the other side of the account that is sitting there as the assurance, the guarantee assurance account that's also being held in reserve at the Federal Reserve Bank for that letter of credit account on the other side, or letter of credit instrument on the other side, under this fidelity and guarantee company transaction. You've got more than one Federal Reserve Bank you're going to be dealing with, okay? You need to check out where these accounts basically originated from, like this Social Security account, like where your commercial bank accounts are tied back to for the FDIC, where your Medicare policies at, okay? Where your deposits from your Medicare taxes are being held, where your Social Security taxes are being held. These things we need to look at, okay? I'll end up posting. I'm still working on trying to decipher this whole thing. Now, the certificate of live birth registration number, okay, just the registration number is a letters patent number, okay? And it is a royal letters patent because that basically was given to you at your birthing date of being 1 year old. And that came from the land. That is the gold. And you had to create the individual banker to access this gold, or this inherent birthing royal patent. If you had military service, you also have a government letters patent account for military bounty. Now, these two accounts, okay, are being held at the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia in the Treasury Direct area. There's a routing number for them, okay? All of this stuff that we've been doing with the 1099As, the lender is us. We use either, in most cases, we're just going to use our estate and our foreign grantor trust account numbers, but we have to have our banker's EIN to give the authorization on the 1041 form. the routing number to route that out of the Philadelphia Treasury Direct Bank, Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia Treasury Direct, is 0310-9999-6. That is the borrower's identification number. That Federal Reserve Bank has borrowed our assets, holding them in reserve for us. So, if your birthing one was a Royal Letters Patent Inheritance book entry, registered security. If you did military and you had active military service, then you would have an government letters patent, activated military bounty book entry, DD 214 security per your your selective service number. And that was basically fulfilled upon your first honorable discharge. And that date. So that was the active date that became available to you. Now, most everything else out here has been operated under letters of credit, like I said. That we gave letters of credit to them by our signature. Your mortgage on the house, your certificate of title to the vehicle, when that gets registered over to your name, then that belongs to you. They're holding that certificate, and that certificate, like on a vehicle, has the value assigned to it. You have to find out what Federal Reserve Bank is serving your state. Okay? And you have to look at this, where all the state items are being processed through. Now, there are some that basically when you get down to, you have to find out where, like the FDIC, where the regional office is located, where the Social Security regional office is located, Medicare regional office is located, Selective Service regional office is located, and U.S. Income Tax regional office. And there's only really about 2 regional offices for the U.S. income tax. One's Kansas City, and the other is Texas, San Antonio. So the 2 branches or 2 banks, one would be the Kansas City, Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, and the other one would be the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, from the way I'm looking at it. Okay? Now, like the FDIC, I have Kansas City regional office, and they're the holders of the U.S./SS citizenship /employees commercial bank letters of credit as FRB deposited Fidelity $250,000 trade acceptance securities, plus other employee, SS employee deposits per the U.S./SS employee bankers SSN number. See, all those checks that you wrote out, they are not what you deposited into the bank is not what is paying the bill.
Mm-hmm.
It is the funds that are coming out against the trade acceptances that are really paying the bill. Your assets are being deposited into the Federal Reserve Bank. That's the game. And then see, it's being held in the reserve. And therefore, it builds up the collateral in your account there. But it's hiding it away from you. It's withholding it from you. All the Social Security taxes that you paid in, okay, under the Social Security, you set up a letter of credit with a fidelity policy of $11.2 million trade acceptance security per your US/SS employee workman's SSN number. Now you have the Medicare, and see, that workman's number covers workman's disability, with the Social Security covers workman's disability and retirement guarantee assurance account. You have Medicare. That one covers your workman's medical guarantee and assurance account used for medical-related expenses. And also, it has your deposited, it's for $11.2 million also. And then all your other assets that have been placed in there. The Selective Service Regional Office is a holder of the US/SS Citizenship Employees Military Letter of Credit as an FRB deposited fidelity, $11.2 million trade acceptance per the US/SS Employee Serviceman SSN number. But it only gets activated, that $11.2 million Federal Reserve policy only gets activated when you go on active duty. So when you go on active duty, it is now activated, and therefore it is paying for all your schooling, for your boot camp, for all your clothing, everything. And any time you have to pay out of your back pocket, it is going into your account to be held as funds in a reserve. We have to come in and pick up these letters of credit. The U.S. Income Tax Federal or Kansas City Regional Office is a holder of the US/SS Citizenship Employees Income Letter of Credit as an FRB deposited fidelity policy, $11.2 million trade acceptance security, plus other employee deposits that we put in when we pay income tax. And it is for the US/SS Employee Workman's Income SSN. See, that SSN is used for a lot more things out here in different capacities. The income tax promissory guarantee is the U.S. Citizenship Employee Workman's Income Guarantee Assurance Account. All your employers have been utilizing this account. As the trade acceptance that they can basically use to borrow to make a payment to you, to pay your wages. You also have basically at the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond, FRB Richmond Government Agency. It's GOBT.GACY, and that is a assurance fund eligible only. Now that one, the routing number for that one is 0510-9999-2. That will be holding your United States SS Merchant Marine, U.S. citizenship, SS Employee Guarantee Assurance Account. For military, if you had a promissory DD-214 discharging instrument. It also carries the United States passport assurance account as a promissory service of the United States State Department. To draw and pay funds if you're overseas. You would just take your passport into the consulate overseas and draw money out against that. You can pretty much see that in the Bourne Identity movie, where the girl is going to the consulate to try and get her passport back so that she can draw funds from it. The United States Veterans Administration, Department of Veterans Affairs, is there under that Richmond Federal Reserve Bank. There are several others that would fall in under that category. Now, that Federal Reserve Bank up there in Philadelphia is only a book entry security eligible only. It doesn't have funds, but it's a book entry security that you would put in like a copy of your certificate of live birth as a drawing instrument, or your DD-214 as a drawing instrument. A book entry security. Now, all bills out here, if you have an active bill for this year, you have receipts. You turn around and you send those into the Attorney General's office with an endorsement on them to the Customer Service Department. They are really the customer, and they have to service our demands. Our Social Security person is really a public banker. If you want to classify him as the customer of the state, then basically he's the public banker, SS banker. If you have a major denominational church under a baptismal certificate, those religious leaders were supposed to be able to cancel your sins, your debts. Those Jezebel temple priests and stuff. But you might have to get a Jezebel EIN number. I ended up getting one for the Church of Rome out of New York. So I've got 4 active EINs to go after these guys. But it's all the lender's or the borrower's identification number is a Federal Reserve Bank routing number. That's what needs to go on that 1099-A. You might have to send a 1099-B in with the security if you send it in Philadelphia. I don't know. I have to look at that. But you basically go over those endorsements that I put out there and get those bills out there to the Attorney General of your state. Your property tax. If you paid your property tax, take the receipt you got and turn it in and claim that back from them. You got a whole bunch of receipts from the different stores. Lump them all together. Add them all up. Put a claim in and send them all up to them. Sign them. Endorse them. Say, here, I'm coming in to claim this money back. From the assurances that you guys said you were going to pay. When they took all the gold and silver away from us and set this Federal Reserve banking system up, and then they got us in under the Social Security number, that was basically the insurance or the assurance that they were going to pay all the bills. The funds are sitting in the Federal Reserve banks. Now, the state value for the year is being held under the control of the Attorney General's office. After the end of the year, then it gets deposited into the Federal Reserve Bank that services that state. Then you have to put your claim in there using a 1099-A to offset that or to do a draw out of it. You want to set up a private bank or a bank without a Social Security number under your banker's EIN? You have to ask for a special deposit bank account. Now, some of the banks are rolling them over to calling them also private banking accounts. But it's really a special deposit account. And then what you're making is all special deposits because they're not going to be in under the regular run-of-the-mill deposits backed up by FDIC insurance. They're going to be getting away from this insurance game. The routing numbers and everything for most of the banks and everything are up there. You can go into the FDIC and find the regional offices. You go into the Social Security Administration and find out where the regional offices are there. Selective Service, same thing. All of these different, the income tax, like I said, there's only two main places that you have to send your 1099-As into. Austin, Texas, and Kansas City. And the income tax and the Social Security in my area are basically located in the same building, the Federal Reserve building, or not the Federal Reserve, the Federal building there in Kansas City. All this stuff is there, and basically all you have to do is just look at it, and basically you can't deny what the hell's there. It's just that everybody was looking in a lot of the wrong places, and we were trying to use our EINs and our Social Security number as the identification number. No, those are the account numbers. See, with a number on that as the borrower's number, we have to route it out from them. So it's got to be a bank routing number. We route it out from them. They're holding our stuff. They're withholding our stuff from us as a reserve. I don't know if somebody's trying to talk or not, or whether that was background noise. I don't know what.
I just muted them.
Well, if they have something to say, speak up.
It sounded like they had a radio in the background. You have something to say, Aaron? It's not.
Yeah, now when you look at the 1099-As, they're real simple to fill out. And then the 1041 is pretty simple. I went over that before. Now, Bill had a statement that he made up a stamp in red, a self-inking stamp, that said, notice as to declared intent of purpose of this tender of payment as a special deposit order of payor and beneficiary, and is to be credited to the depositor's account as accord and satisfaction and payment in full and discharge of any and all outstanding liabilities. Okay, I'll send you a copy of that.
Good.
Either tonight or tomorrow, Tom.
Okay.
So 2.5 inches, inch and a half, whatever. Try and see if you can get a self-inking stamp, and then you just stamp that on any security, or special deposit you place into your account after you've endorsed it. Not that basically once that special deposit account or private banker's account gets set up, they're not going to be able to attack that. All your IRS bills, everything out here. What was missing in the whole damn process was that people were not endorsing these things properly. And then sending them back to collect them, okay? Because in most cases, they were trying to give us the payment so that we could turn around and make the bill. So when you endorse it back to them, you're allowing them to have the means to set it off for what they owe back to the Federal Reserve Bank for the trade acceptance of the borrowing of the funds. You can go in with the 1041 and put all the taxes you've ever paid in there and claim them back. With a 1099-A against that Federal Reserve Bank, either Dallas for the Austin IRS or the Kansas City Federal Reserve for the Kansas City IRS. The U.S. income tax account that you have sitting there. And wipe out all the funds that are in there. Now, once you get, I don't know how many people out there have a county copy of their certificate of live birth. But the very last thing on my certificate of live birth, and I got 2 of them from the county Friday, the very last thing on there was notations. And it says, X indicates not shown on record. Well, notations has an X behind it, indicating that there is no notations against that account. We have to do that estoppel by deed, place that in against this record, the county record, and put it in as a notation that we have come in and claimed that for our sole purpose. And it's not to be used by anybody else. Then, under that notation, that will then appear. Then, basically, you can go in and take your assets out of the Federal Reserve Bank and move them back over to, and you would have to do this also with your DD-214, either under the Merchant Marine filing, like one of the girls was telling me about down in Florida, they call it Merchant Marine, or Merchant Marine account. Here in the Midwest, they, from what I understand, but I'm going to go in and check with my county recorder and see if they also have a Merchant Marine account there. I think they just here use the military discharge book. And then they just print out copies of that DD-214 certified as the coupons out against it. But down there in Florida, they issued, after you got that into the record, the merchant seaman, they issued you the coupon book to go along with it. Pretty much the way it's stated in the Title 46, Chapter 73 that I talked about before. But when I couldn't find it here, and I'm pretty sure I asked around, but I'm going to double check on it, and found out that it was the military discharge book here. I sort of dropped away from that in a little way. But I've been right on almost all of this stuff. I've been to the State Banking Commission. I've been to the Attorney General's office. I know that they set off bills in the Attorney General's office for me. That my traffic tickets were finally settled there. Now, the state income tax, they got an account there at the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland, or not Cleveland, Chicago, also for the state income tax under my Social Security person. For anything that I paid in to the state of Iowa. Their fraudulent claims, they were trying to pay me. I just didn't see it. See, that's what, in a lot of cases, we've been misguided by a bunch of these people out here because they never knew the monetary system and how it really functioned. I've talked about a lot of this stuff before, the trade acceptances, but I didn't see it all until I really started breaking it down and going to all these different Federal Reserve banks and looking at them, and then seeing that there was two unique ones there, that Treasury Direct with 4 nines in the middle of it, and then the government agency out of Richmond with the 4 nines in the middle of it. Seeing that those were special accounts. And then in some cases, I was trying to go to the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago when I should have been going to the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City. And then everybody was taking that number on the back of the Social Security card and trying to go to the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. That is the security number that you can put a charge in against. That is the book entry security number for that Social Security card. That is basically the $11.2 million security that's sitting there attached to that Social Security card. But you have to go to where your regional Social Security bank is. Even though your banks are operating under, like most of the state banks of Iowa are operating out of the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, the FDIC side of it is operating out of Kansas City Federal Reserve Bank. So all the $250,000 FDIC items against your accounts are really coming out of a different Federal Reserve Bank in some cases. It's the shell game. Hide it over here, confuse them over there. Now, you can turn around and take one of those promissory notes and send that into the Federal Reserve Bank for your region, like the certificate of live birth. You have a promissory note to do a withdrawal from the customer assurance fund that is held at your regional, your state's regional Federal Reserve Bank. So that's what the certificate of live birth is. It's also not under the registration number, but under the red number or the serial number that's on that. That's the security number. But that's for the state of. Okay. Any questions? Open it up for comments, Tom.
Okay. Actually, kind of mind-boggling, Patrick.
What?
It's mind-boggling.
You're mumbling.
Patrick.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
A little better.
Okay. Well, maybe my laptop here. It's kind of mind-boggling. There's a lot of detail here I need to go over. I see the general thrust of it, but the details of all these Federal Reserve banks, we've got to get them nailed down.
Yes, you need to really make a sort of an index of where everything is going to be located at. You got to think about what items you have and then list them and then try and decipher. Well, that one's over here, probably under this Federal Reserve Bank. Write it down for that one right now. Then start checking it out to see, does it fit into that bank? Can that bank transfer the funds? Or is it just strictly a security eligibility?
Hey,
Any
Patrick.
other questions?
Yeah, it's Steve. Before we were talking earlier about the DTC and the DTCC.
No, I
Isn't
wasn't.
that like a clearinghouse for all this kind of a funds exchange?
You
or
don't
is that
worry
just a
about that.
registry?
Okay. You don't worry about that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, just
You
wondered if
only
that's
have to
something
go to the Federal Reserve Bank.
Okay.
All the bonds and everything are going through the DTC. That's not what we do.
Okay.
Okay? They're writing the bonds. We don't.
Okay. We just have to.
See, that's one of the key things was everybody was getting out here off in the wrong direction. Totally away from the banks that we were supposed to be going to. And then understanding why is there reserve? Why doesn't it just say federal banks? What's this reserve shit? Well, it's our reserves that they're withholding from us. That was their whole game plan, was to hold in reserves our assets from us. That way they could control us. Getting everybody to think that basically we were the debtors, and we're not. We've got all these damn reserves out here. We just need to go after them and pull them out of there. I had one document from Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, I can't remember which one it was, that basically was talking about doing 1099As, but it was from the FDIC on those to put 1099As in. Well, what were they putting the 1099As in for? They were basically, if they got the mortgage back away from you, the title and the mortgage signed back over from you, then they could go in with that mortgage and put a claim of abandonment against that mortgage that's under your name in the Federal Reserve Bank.
Hmm.
The attorneys, we went through the training session out at the bankruptcy court in D.C. and went through the training modules there, how the attorneys turn around and go in and process a lot of these items unbeknownst to you against your Federal Reserve accounts. Outright bank robbery. But since you don't know it's bank robbery, you can't claim it's bank robbery. But now you do. Now you can start claiming bank robbery. And basically all these judges in there are basically just bar attorneys. And now when you get your estoppel by deed in, you can stop any of that damn court action. But you need to get that registered into your county record. You cut them completely off at the knees. In fact, you can go halfway up the thigh if you want to.
And that would be like our birthing county and where we live, probably.
No, just the birthing county, where your land record is at.
Okay.
That is the document you have to get updated. That land recording record. And then military, the military bounty land record. Or the merchant marine bounty land record. However they've got it recorded in some states. Come on, people. I know if you've got questions out there, ask them.
I'll throw something out there. Just caught wind of a process, basically, that someone's doing where they're using. I'm just throwing this out there. That someone's doing where they're using negotiable instruments to discharge debts at a 100% rate. Now, what they're doing is they're using those cashier's checks, right? Now they're using these routing number. They're doing the routing number and account numbers. I'm not sure exactly what routing number he's using yet, but I'm going to find that out this week. But, I'm just wondering if that Federal Reserve Bank routing number is the routing number that's being used. But I know
it's got to be, because that's where your reserves are held.
Yes, and
that's
he's not
getting any kickback. Huh?
Right, he's not getting any kickback. He's paying things off for 3 years, and it's really working. he's actually able to pay off things for other people too. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't know exactly which routing number. But now that you said that Federal Reserve Bank routing number, it's all coming together.
Yeah, that's what it's coming out of, okay? His state routing number, okay? He can draw against his account and pay for other people's stuff. But they could also go to the Attorney General's office right now, because the state has a CAFR fund, a Customer Assurance Fund Reserve. That's what CAFR stands for. CAFR. Customer Assurance Fund Reserve. But at the end of the year, that reserve now gets placed into the Federal Reserve Bank.
Right.
Because the companies, like these corporations, they have to zero their books at the end of the year. So they have to deposit all of that into their customers' accounts, and their customer accounts are being held at the Federal Reserve Bank.
Mm-hmm. And what I found to be very interesting is that he's making these things. He's doing these cashier's checks. He's sending them in. He's calling the company to communicate with them, and they're like, "Well, you have to verify that the checks were cleared." So he did a claim. I'm just putting the information out there. He put a claim in, just using the UCC to claim that instrument. He gives them this UCC number, and they're like, "Okay, your account is credited." So it's just that simple.
Other people are doing 1099As.
Yeah, he's doing the 1099A as well.
Okay. See, that's what you need to do. It's the 1099A. It's not the UCC that's doing it.
Right. I'm just using, not the UCC. No, I'm not saying at all that the UCC is doing it. All I'm saying is that he gives them that number, and that, not to say that the UCC is doing it. It's just the number that you have a claim on that instrument, so they can't steal it. That's all. I think in the 1099A does that as well, so they can't steal it. But I got you on that for sure. I'm not saying the UCC one does it at all.
No. Basically, he's not quite sure, so he's using both of them in the process. And he probably picked that up from some other people that were doing the UCCs, thinking that was getting the thing done. But it's really just all you need to do is the 1099A. Put your endorsement on there, and basically even turn around and pay the item for the full year. Your utility bills. Say here, I'm sending this back to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him personally. I mean, it's working, and but and another thing is that he's actually putting these laws on these instruments where they have 3 days to do it, or he can claim that money back, and that's forcing them to credit these accounts because they have 3 days to do it. They're going to have 3 days again.
Yeah, and see, you could take those bills, and once you set up your special deposit, you can come in with that bill and make it a special deposit into your account.
Yes.
Okay? And then turn around and pay the bill out of that. That's what some people have done also.
Yeah, I put together a special deposit control agreement just because, I was going through, that UCC just the UCC law for a deposit control agreement. So I put together my own special deposit control agreement, and I was going to go ahead and send it in to the CFO of the bank with the rescission of signature so that I could try to attempt to take control of the bank account, because now that I'm going in the direction of now having the EIN as a private banker, I'm like, I have even more standing in law.
Yeah, but it's what you got to do is open up a new account, a special deposit account under the EIN, under that banker's private EIN number, not under the Social Security. You close that one down entirely.
Right.
And you can get a debit card against that special account or private banker's account. I guess there are some banks that are starting to roll that over. One of the guys was telling me that, they've got up on the 19th floor of this one bank building there in their city that they've now renamed it private banker's account.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go give this stuff a shot this week. I'm definitely going to go in.
Can I ask your name, sir?
My name is Abdul, calling from Washington State.
Okay, thank you.
But, okay, the other thing is, why not go in and try and do a 1099A and a 1041 and get them to send funds out to you?
Yes, and I'm heavy on that 1041. I mean, because like I say, I know someone who's done it. He's withholding the information because he says, hey, we got to do it during tax season. I'm like, listen, if we're doing it right, I shouldn't have to wait till tax season. Okay, I should be able to do this anytime I want to.
1041 can be done anytime. You can do one a day if you want to. Okay, read the form.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, it's not limited to once a year.
Right. Yeah, the reason why he was saying do it during tax season is because, they'll have this, streamline of paperwork coming through and they won't judge your paperwork. I'm like, dude, if we do anything correctly and they hold back funds from us, they're liable for that. So I'm not trying to hear that.
Yeah, well, see, I sent a bunch off last week. They were all done wrong. See, I put the account numbers in where the lender's bank routing numbers should have been going in. And then it should have been coming in from a Federal Reserve Bank. They're the ones that are holding the money. They're the borrower.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah,
they have borrowed our assets, and then they are doling them out under their trade acceptances to these other corporations.
Right. See, I used the Federal Reserve Bank routing number when I first started getting into everything. And I know I used the wrong account number now. But when I took it into the bank, I was able to get a few thousand back. Even though even though everything came back wrong, I know what the problem was, but I used that Federal Reserve Bank routing number and poof, went right through.
Yeah, a lot of us basically we put it in using that what everybody was claiming, this red number, and then converting it into like the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, and trying to put in like a $5,000 draw against the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. Wrong bank. It went in and went into Cleveland. It appeared that the funds were transferred to our local bank, but they were on hold. And then about 10 days later, they were being pulled back in by the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland.
Right. Because
they were drawn out of the wrong Federal Reserve Bank.
Yeah, and I heard you speak on that earlier, that, the different Federal Reserve banks have different processes.
They have different functions.
Different functions, right. And they show you that on their own website, too.
Yeah.
They have a checklist.
And most of the Federal Reserve banks are covering the state's accounts that they have that they're over. Now, some of these others have other items, like, say, the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis really controls all the banks that are in Missouri. So basically the Kansas City Federal Reserve Bank doesn't have too many state banks that it's dealing with. But it's got all these other accounts, like the Social Security, like the Selective Service for the area or the region. It's got these others. So you have to look at what is going on in the different banks and what functions they're really doing.
Right. This is very true. Yeah, well, I had the opportunity, because I'm originally from Philadelphia. I was able to get an opportunity inside of the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. I was there for a few months before I moved out to Washington State. Now, while I was in there, I was handling the checks that came in from all of the different banks in the city. So I kind of saw that process. But in the afternoon, I was handling the Treasury checks that were going out to, I guess, the different reservations for the Indians, because you could see the names clear as day, right? So, I just kind of seen how that process was going through, even though I wasn't into the detail because that just wasn't my job. But, it was just it was cool to see that this stuff is really being done. You know, these checks are going out every single day.
And see, that would be total confirmation that all the land bank checks come out of Philadelphia.
Yes, sir.
And so your certificate of live birth registration number is your land bank security number. Just like your when you activate from your military service and have honorable discharge, then you have a military bounty land under your selective service number.
Just money, just sitting out there waiting for us to come get it.
Yeah.
Which I say credits. Crazy. Yeah, this week I'm going to go all the way in. I'm going for this stuff. Like this conversation right here just gave me that, you know, inspiration to just keep going. Because it's connecting a lot of dots.
Okay, anybody else? Does everybody have a copy of those Federal Reserve Bank routing numbers?
I'll look
the main ones.
I'll look that up and send it back out, Patrick.
Okay. You look at the different functions on there. There's two categories under every Federal Reserve Bank.
Yeah.
They have book entry securities and they have funds. And whether they're eligible for either one or whether they're ineligible. Then you have to start thinking about what's going on there. If they're ineligible, then basically they're only dealing normally like in funds. And like up there in Philadelphia, the one out of Rochester was only eligible for funds. It didn't have the securities there. So where are the securities for some of those fund accounts that are sitting there? The securities are back at one of the other regional offices, banks.
Hey, Patrick, let me ask you a question. I've seen a video of someone who received a letter from the Security Exchange, a lawyer from the Security Exchange Commission, and you know, just summarize it. Basically said that you know, before you can draw from the Social Security account, you have to first make a deposit. Now, what do you think just hearing that verbiage right there? What is that? What clicks in your mind right there? I just want to see what you think.
That guy doesn't know what the shit he's talking about.
Got you, because most of them don't know it. I got you.
Basically, they don't.
Yeah, they don't be knowing because they keep that information internally, you know, amongst themselves.
Their stuff is all compartmentalized. Okay,
compartmentalized.
If it wasn't compartmentalized, basically, then there would be too many people out here knowing how this system works.
Right.
Okay.
Just like
so
that letter
what you have to do is you have to have a broad mind to look over all of these different compartments and pull them together. Hey, I need to open this door here to go to this compartment and go here and then basically shut this thing off and then go back through that door, shut that door, and then go over here. Just like being on a ship, okay? You've got to seal it up to make it watertight.
Right.
So you've got to go to the different compartments to do that.
Right. So that's like, you know, with the bank shutting down the accounts that are connected to the social.
Yeah, and then see, once you get this county record updated, and you get that one with your notation on it now from the county, that you have placed an estoppel by deed over that county record, then you turn around and send that into the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia for the Treasury Direct, and you will close down that account. They will have to close down all other accounts because they're all attached to that. All of your letters of credit have originated from that one out of Philadelphia.
Makes perfect sense. Amazing.
Yeah, you just have to get it done at the county first, then you go to the other. But in the meantime, you can draw against these items out here.
So when you say the county, we're talking about the certificate of live birth, right?
I'm talking about the county land record entry, book entry.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. I remember you talking about that before. Gotcha.
The certificate of live birth is basically a completely different item. Okay.
Right.
That was what basically was a transmitting instrument to get a recording and then basically to set up the state letters of credit. Because, see, it's under state of certificate of live birth. So now it's a state security with the sequence number, the red number down below. Now it's a security that they can utilize as collateral in their endeavor on the fidelity side of the account.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Under
I remember you were explaining
you
that to me
granted
before.
that to them, okay?
Yes.
By not claiming it, you granted it to them.
So I'm going to take a flight out to Philly, and I'm going down to the county. Would you give me any suggestions of what I need to do when I go down to the county?
You don't need to go out there. Send them a letter. You call them up and find out, what do I need in my item? See, I sent basically an estoppel by deed over to my county recorder's office. And basically she sent it back to me saying it needed to have a cover sheet per this regulation. She sent me the instructions and everything back with it.
Right on.
And see, I talked to her Friday when I went over there and got these 2 updated copies of my certificate of live birth. And I said, yeah, I've got your letter and I thank you for it and I'll be submitting that back. She smiled at me and said, okay, and no problem. And then she'd put that in. She'd put that in as a notation in against that recording, that county record, and basically put a stop to anybody utilizing that asset out there as collateral anymore.
Right on.
Then the state, then now you're totally in the private. You're no longer in the public. You just shut them off. You don't need a driver's license. You don't need any of this other stuff. You just gone into the private. They can't tax you in the private.
Nope. Only domestic. Their own rules.
And then you shut down all these insurance policies that are out here. You don't need insurance. You'll have more funds than you know what to do with. You start learning how to be your own estate manager. Then if you want to get married more than 10 times, you can. Have more than 10 wives.
And you could take care of everything.
That whole deal Thursday by the Supreme Court was total fraud. That was all about insurance. Granting those gays the right of marriage. It was all about allowing the gays to be placed upon the other party's insurance policy.
Yep, that's what it was all about.
They could have done that any number of ways. But those damn idiots, they don't understand it either.
Tell me about it. Yeah,
if they want to have sex with one another, let them go have sex with one another. That's totally against any natural moral understanding. Okay? But the government cannot regulate morality. And that's what they try and do constantly. Even the Supreme Court tries to get their hand in on that shit now. The senators and the congressmen have been trying to do that for years. See, that's what the whole deal is about. A marriage certificate. They're going to regulate your morality and say you can only have one wife. Well, basically, when you get married, a man has placed an estoppel against the woman from going and having another husband because he is not going to have her bearing a child from another man and bringing it into his estate and making his estate pay for that child.
Yep.
That's a natural estoppel that is out there. But a man can bring another woman in and have another child because she now becomes part of his estate.
Right.
I'm not saying to do that because most of 99.99% of the men in this country are too goddamn stupid to be even able to handle one woman.
Very true. I firmly agree. Just because it looks good don't mean you can handle it.
Yeah. But I mean, people are so messed up. They've been taught all this bullshit by the religious, by the Jezebel churches. You are your own church. You know what's right and wrong.
Yep.
You don't need somebody else out there, the government or some other religious nitwit that can't even read the goddamn banking Bible and can't even honor it, telling you what to do.
Yep. You want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
Of course, the Christians aren't the only ones that are totally screwed up by the religious leaders. Even a lot of the Arabs and stuff like that. They've got certain things down right about utilizing the monetary system the right way, but then they go out on their jihads or whatever. Oh, we're going to die for Allah and all this bullshit.
Real talk.
Type scenario that's being propagated by the goddamn religious leaders.
Yep.
Just to start a damn war.
Crazy.
We were supposed to be here in peace, not in war. And most people can operate in peace out here. It's all this bullshit, the news media, the damn politicians, and everybody else that gets everybody fired up. Oh, yeah, they're stealing from us. They're doing this. They're doing that. Bullshit. When you fully understand it, everybody's got their own damn account. Nobody's taking your money. They're utilizing their own account over here, but they're making it appear that you're paying it for them. No, you're not. This damn planet's just about ready to go into a total cleansing because it's so goddamn screwed up. It's beyond repair.
Yeah, the energy is kind of crazy out here right now. That's why I'm just trying to stay the course. I can't get distracted by what they're doing out there.
Okay, anybody else have any questions, comments, rebuttals? I'm going to be dropping off here very short.
I have a question.
Speak up.
Patrick, I have a question.
Speak up.
Where do I record? Hi. Where do I record my estoppel if I was not born in this country?
Are you a naturalized citizen?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You've got to put your estoppel in against your naturalization document. When you got naturalized, basically they set you up with a bank account here in this country. You follow that?
Yes.
And your account is probably there at the Philadelphia bank also. If you have that naturalization registration number, that is your account number at the Federal Reserve Bank, the Treasury, direct Treasury Bank there in Philadelphia. See, the Social Security had to have something to draw against. So basically, they drew against your certificate of live birth from the other country. Now, when you got naturalized, your assets from that other country should have been brought over into this country. I don't hear you talking, so I don't know whether I'm getting through to you or not.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you, Patrick.
Speak up, please, okay?
You're very soft.
Turn your mic up or something on your phone, whatever it is. You're too damn low. I can't hear you.
I guess that's it.
I hear you, Patrick. Thank you.
Sounds like he's got his phone in a drawer.
I don't know. Has he said anything?
No, he hasn't said anything.
Huh?
He hasn't said anything.
I'm having a hard time hearing you too, Tom.
He hasn't said anything. I think the answer used the naturalization papers. He's accepted that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Patrick.
I'm not trying to holler at you guys, but I'm trying to get you to speak up so I can hear you.
Am I any better, Patrick?
That's a little better.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other comments or anything like that, I'm going to call tonight.
Okay, thank you very much, Patrick.
I'll make a comment. It sounds like when you're talking about the special depository bank account, that's our private bank, but you said we can go through the Attorney General's office. It sounds like, we could use him like as a fiduciary, or he should
No,
No,
we use him for our yearly assets from the state, okay?
That's
Your
like
traffic
dividends?
tickets, your utility bills, your
okay.
property taxes.
Okay, yearly bills or bills. Okay. Well,
Yes,
they're
for the
using
year,
they're
going
our
against
customer.
the CAFR fund that the state has.
Okay. Right.
See, those are public utility companies in most cases. Now, if they're a private company, not necessarily are you going to be able to, but they can turn around and basically put all your receipts in, and they can send them in over to the banking division for the state.
Right.
To do a set-off. Those guys at the Attorney General's office are brokers. They're justice brokers. Just exchangement brokers.
Right. Okay.
That's all they are. It's everything out here is about banking.
Right. Yeah, you've told us that plenty of times on every call you told us. Yeah, it just has to sink in.
And all the people in the government are just agents of the banks, of the state bank or whatever.
Right.
Because that's all that the government is. It's just a banking organization. a governmental banking organization.
For profit, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to drop off here. I can't hardly hear anything, so talk to you guys later.
Hey, everybody has to boost their volume, and we should do volume checks before we even talk or allow people to talk. And if they don't have any volume, they can't talk, because this is going on every week.
Can you hear me? This is Sharon.
Yeah, you're medium.
I can hear you.
I'm wondering how state sovereignty fits in, if at all.
How what?
State sovereignty.
State driver's license?
Well, the
State
whole sovereignty.
She said,
I don't.
Pat.
What'd she say?
Sovereignty, state sovereignty. She wants to know about it.
There is no sovereign. We are the sovereignty of the state. We're of the land. Okay? It says it right in the preamble of the Constitution, of your state constitution. That's why we are the royalty. That's why we were given a royal letters patent at birth, or 90 days after our being born.
I'd also like to add that here in Washington State, it says that the military shall be in strict subordination to the civil authority. The Constitution, that is.
Yeah. They say you're only under military obligation until you turn 25. Then you're supposed to be a freed man.
Yep.
Under no further obligations to the state or to the federal government.
That's right.
You now control them. You now control them.
Yeah, that's important.
I think that's almost in every state constitution, too.
Pretty much is. It's just that people don't know how to read the state constitution, let alone know how to read the national constitution. And 99% of the politicians, they couldn't read the damn thing if their heart depended upon it. Even Ron Paul, the constitutionalist, doesn't know how to read the damn thing. Talk about a blaming idiot, quack doctor that he was to begin with. And then it got all the damn patriots falling behind him. Talk about another nitwit group of people, just like the Roman Catholics, just like the Presbyterians, following their damn churches, thinking that they're the only ones that are going to be saved. Talk about total bullshit. Okay, I'm going to drop off here before I really get going.
Thank
Good night,
you very much.
Patrick.
See you guys later. Okay, good night.
Bye.